Do you know when I get disappointed or angry, Etta? Do you know why?
I do know why. When expectations aren't met. And the crazy part is, you didn't always speak them.
That's true.
I know.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
So we're excited that for over 30 years, we've been able to come alongside you, whether it's buying, selling, or investing, but also in relation to having fun, building your faith, building your finances, and basically just life exponential. And so really the thing we're going to explore today is when we uncover our expectations, it equals a fantastic experience. And when we don't uncover the expectations, people leave or remain or get super disappointed.
That's great insight, because what we expect, like sometimes, I expect something.
Really?
Like maybe around a birthday or something, okay? I have an expectation, and maybe you meet everything that I had expected out of my birthday. But you didn't do anything extra, right? You met the expectation. So sometimes I, in the past, have not acknowledged how appreciative I've been of what I've received because it met my expectation. And I don't know if maybe you've been like that yourself. When you expect something, you expect a certain service at a restaurant, or you expect a certain quality, and you get what you expected. Are you appreciative of it, or do you take it for granted, like I have done in the past sometimes? And then there's times where you get more than you expected. Like you go to Walt Disney World, and everything's clean, and you kind of expect that because you've heard it. But then you go into the lineup for an event, right? And the lineup says 30 minutes from here, and you go, ooh, that's a long time. And how long does it take you to get to
Usually like, let's say 15.
Yes. And then suddenly your expectation is exceeded. You're a little disappointed when it's going to be 30 minutes, but then when it's only 15, you're very excited and happy. Whereas if they told you it's going to be 10 minutes and it took 15 minutes,
you'd be ticked.
Because
it was an unmet expectation.
Yeah.
Right.
So beautiful knowledge there. And what we learned from them is under promise and over deliver, because most people over promise and then under deliver.
Well, we have a tendency to, right? Because we know our intention, we know what we want to accomplish, we know what we want to do for you. So we tend to voice the very thing we want to do, and maybe we can't quite do what we wanted. So
something comes up, or
right.
You get busier than you thought.
Right. And so we want to make sure that we have an understanding, which is really what I think Ken's alluding to and talking about. We want to understand what it is you expect. Because if we don't know what you can expect, it is basically impossible to meet those expectations.
Or exceed them. Because one of our goals is to exceed your expectations.
Right.
We can't always do it. Sometimes we'll actually say, you know what? We're not a good business match because your expectations exceed what we're able to deliver. And then we'll say no thank you. Right. Because we'd rather turn you down now than let you down later.
Right. And that conversation often has to do with market value of property. I mean, that expectation, just had a conversation like yesterday, and they want a certain price for their house. Well, there is highly, highly unlikely that value is going to be there for the home. There's a lot of sentimental attachment. It's hard to let go of the home. And I really appreciate that. And yet I can't make a market happen. I can work within the market. I can build some strategies to get every dime possible. And I don't get to make the market. I get to interpret the market and then work to the best of my ability within that market using 30 years worth of strategies.
And maybe in March, they may have gotten that price.
Yeah, they would have.
But we're $100,000 less since March till now.
On average.
On average.
The average
average sale price of a freehold home in Ottawa is $100,000 less than it was in March. We're still slightly above last year.
Yeah.
It's just those huge gains that happened in January, February, and March
and overnight
have evaporated.
Yeah.
And, thank you, interest rate is part of that.
Yeah.
Affordability, interest rate.
And I think it had moved too quick.
Too quick,
anyway,
too
it
fast.
wasn't sustainable. And we all knew that. We thought that was maybe going to happen in 2021 because the same thing happened then. And then it happened again in 2022. And we're just seeing a little bit of equalizing. And it's still fantastic value, some of the highest in all of history, just not quite as high as earlier this year.
Right. So we want to be giving you the expectation of what your home truly will sell for to the best of our ability. And if you think it's 100, 200, 300,000 more, we're going to say, no, thank you. Like one of the people who said no, thank you to 45 days ago, they've already had their first $100,000 price reduction, and they are chasing the market down.
And we've talked about that in another episode, which is actually a really neat one to listen to. Like if you're actually in the position where you want to be selling right now or want to be buying, listening to some of those episodes that talk about the rolling down the hill ball.
Yeah. And we can talk about that in a consultation. We offer a free, no obligation consultation where we can discover your expectations, our expectations, and really decide if we're a good match together, right? Because it's not just your expectations, it's also our expectations. Are you as a client going to meet our expectations? What would be some of the expectations we'd have of sellers or buyers?
Yeah. Well, this is actually always an interesting conversation because when we get to this part of the consultation or the conversation, the connection time when we're connecting, I'll say, like, what do you feel you ought to expect from us as your realtor? And of course, there's the standard, get me the most money for my house, sell it in the timeline that works, make sure that the legal things are handled. Those are pretty typical, but then there's always more. And then I'll say, and here's, what do you believe I should expect from you, or what can I expect from you? So they'll usually share, you can expect me to have the home available and those kinds of things. And if there's anything missing in the list, I'll say, can I share with you some of my expectations? And you can just let me know whether they'll work or not. Mm-hmm. Right? And some of those things will be that when a home comes up, that I'm willing, Ken's willing, Leah's willing, Candace is willing, Ryan's been willing to drop everything and rock and roll if that house demands that immediate attention. If we're prepared to do that, are you prepared to do that? No, we can only look on weekends. That's going to be tricky because you're going to be frustrated that you're not going to get the house you want.
Yeah.
And so we'd rather have that discussion up front and see whether we can shift what we need from you. And if not, we're not going to start.
Yeah. And, Terrell Owens, he says, if you align your expectations with reality, you will never be disappointed. We're honored to be your guides on this journey of real estate and life exponential.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward.